Welcome to Joanna the Medium Show, broadcast on Ever Beyond Radio and through the Wolf Spirit Media Network, helping you transform from fear to freedom and reminding you of your true power.
Is the music on? I can't hear anything.
During this broadcast, we will discuss anything and everything connecting to owning your inner power and the essence of your spirit. We will hear inspiring stories from guests, as well as guidance from the spirit world. Jump on board for this incredible ride. Here's your host, Joanna.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for coming back. Welcome to all my regular listeners, and for those of you who are new, if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you will like what you hear. First and foremost, you have to excuse my voice. I feel like it's a little bit raspy. Where I live, which is in British Columbia, we've had fires all over the place, so there's a lot of smoke in the air, and we can't even see the sun. It looks like everything is overcast. So it feels like it's affecting my voice. So if I sound a little bit raspy, it's not because I've been drinking all night, although that would have been a better choice. It's the smoke that's affecting me. So without further ado, today we have a special guest, exciting show, because we're going to be doing free readings for you for the entire hour. And my special guest today is actually a YouTube reader. His name is Brian, or he goes by Sol-gier Tarot. And you can find him on YouTube under Sol, that's SOUL-GIER, Brian, BRIAN, Tarot, TAROT. So if you want to look him up, you can find him there on YouTube. And a little bit about Brian. So Brian has an interesting story. He's Irish. And by the way, if you feel like you have to listen extra intently to listen to his accent, I'm with you on that one. I love his accent, but I have to listen extra intently. Brian started actually learning tarot about 15 years ago, and he comes from an interesting family because his mother's side of the family has always had paranormal abilities, but Brian himself never really took it on board until actually very recently. So one of the things that is interesting about Brian is that he spent many years doing things like boxing and martial arts. But the most important thing of all the things that Brian did, according to him, was learning what is called Japanese Kubota, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And even though it wasn't the most macho thing he did, according to Brian, it was apparently most definitely the hardest thing he did. And this has led him eventually to a lot of spiritual understanding, which eventually led him to taking up tarot more seriously and eventually starting his own YouTube channel. So on his YouTube, he does monthly tarot readings, similar to what I do, a little bit of a different style, but, same idea, monthly readings. I actually had a reading with Brian. He's very accurate. I really like his delivery. He's also extremely compassionate. And how we actually met is Brian made an appointment with me. So he was one of my clients, and my guide said, you have to showcase him on your show, which is what I like to do to promote you guys. And here we go. So let me welcome Brian. Hello, Brian. How are you?
Hello, Joanna, and hello to everyone listening. And thank you very much for a lovely intro there. That was very nice.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Before we jump into readings, tell us a little bit. I love martial arts. I've never done any myself. I've always kind of wanted to, but I'm a bit of a chicken sometimes. Kubota. How did that influence your spiritual practice? Because you mentioned when we talked a little bit, you said that was, well, like I said, one of the hardest things you've done, but also most fulfilling. How did this actually lead you to reading tarot?
How it happened is that Japanese Kobudo is the physical side of it. Let's just say is basically war training of medieval Japan. But in medieval Japan, the highest level of war training, the people who learn that also had to learn the highest level of spiritual teachings. And it was through that, and the teachings I learned through Kobudo, let's just say about life and death and why we're here and things like that. It's because those teachings came easiest to me. Not so much, not saying that the other things didn't come to me either. It's just that those teachings, I had an understanding for them. And I had such an understanding for them, it kind of woke me up. And I've actually been doing that since 2002 or 2003. So
wow.
It took a long time to wake myself up to the fact that I really should look into spiritual practices more. As you said, that type of paranormal abilities runs on my mother's side of the family. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, that's basically it. It's just it's because of the Kabuto and the teachings, the spiritual side of Kabuto. It was the first real contact with any real proper spiritual teachings I had, really, to be honest.
I always believe, and I've come to see this not only with myself, but with the many, many clients that I've seen, both in hypnotherapy, in counseling, and in my mediumship sessions, that we always have to go through certain sets of circumstances in order to prepare us for the next journey. With me, it was coming from literally a corporate world. But being there at the time, one has no understanding, but when you look back, you can clearly see the dots connecting, and how, in your case, martial arts, in particular Kabuto, has literally opened you up to being able to do now what you do.
Yes, I think one of the things was many years ago, but just when I lived overseas, there was a lady like yourself who was a psychic lady, and it was in Australia, and she was on the radio, and she spoke about the reason, the meaning behind why we're here and why we live and that kind of thing. Because before anything like that, I only ever would have heard about basically because I'm coming from a Catholic country, whatever the Catholic Church would have said. It's exactly yourself as well. So it's like, that's not very good spiritual teachings. And when I went to, and I learned in Kabuto about the spiritual side of things there, it was nearly identical to what this lady said. And
wow.
I knew, and just by feeling, I knew that this was pure information and not messed with, kind of thing, because it's so old and it's passed from person to person. I think it's the person who is the boss over, let's say the head boss over the whole lot on Earth, let's just say, in my organization. He's the 36th, I think the 36th person in line. So there's been 35 people before him, and it's been kept exactly as it was for all that time.
Wow.
And the spiritual teachings, more than even the physical teachings, the spiritual teachings would be considered more important, even so.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because there is a lot of listeners, I'm sure, because I connect with a lot of my viewers from YouTube. We all come from different backgrounds. Some of us come from a very, very, very strict religious background, like I do, though I wasn't strict. My parents weren't strict, but it is Catholic is a strict, type of belief system. To people who come having no belief system whatsoever, and, they believe we come from rock and we turn to rock, or, whatever it may be. Yeah. And eventually they'll come into some kind of, information that just seems to resonate with them. There's no real, it's not even a belief. It's almost like you become it. It becomes so natural. For those of you who are listening and you come from various different backgrounds, whether they're very strict, religious or no belief whatsoever, you might look at, your background, at your life, and notice how different experiences have led you to believe in a spiritual aspect. And I'm assuming those of you who are listening must have some of that to some extent. Otherwise, we wouldn't be listening. Why don't we just start with, the readings? Because I know, I had a lot of people connect saying they're very interested in having a reading. So I think we have a lot of callers. So for you guys who want a reading, if I could just ask you for a huge favor, because typically we have gazillion phone calls and we're barely able to get through, a percentage of them. Just to give everybody a chance, please keep your questions short, to the point, and one question per caller. I really, really would appreciate this. And the other thing I wanted to pass on, actually my guide they said, why don't you give them a bit of a tip? When you ask your question, And this is something I want you to always be aware of. So one of the things that I would like you to think about when you ask a question, instead of saying, for example, when am I going to meet my soulmate, rephrase it in terms of what is it that I need to do in order to prepare myself to meet my soulmate. And the reason why I want you to start thinking in those terms is because each and every one has the ability to create our future. We do it every single day, whether we know it or don't know it. We create based on our subconscious or conscious belief systems. So when you ask a question, when am I going to meet yada, 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 you are excluding yourself from the creation process and you become a passive passenger. You don't want that, because what you want to do, you want to know what you can do in order to bring it to you. And that will apply to basically any aspect of one's life, more or less. So if that makes sense, why don't we start? Is there anything else I need to do? No. So why don't we start? Let's take on our first caller. And actually one of our first callers is my beautiful producer. His name is JP. JP, hello. I understand you had a question for Brian or I. What would you like to know?
Well, good evening, Brian, and welcome. I just live over the water in Scotland. So, hey, where do you stay?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, Brian, yes.
I'm in Southeast Ireland, in Waterford in Southeast Ireland.
Oh, Waterford, yes, I was down there. Last September I went for a tour of Southern Ireland, and we passed through Waterford.
Very good.
Lovely
Very
place.
Good.
So, now the calls are gonna come in from the other line, so hopefully, yes, they should be able to hear you. Okay, my question is, I really don't know what's going on, I felt completely beaten up this morning. I felt like I've been dropped onto a piece of concrete, from a great height. My head hurts. My emotional body hurts, my mental body hurts, my physical body hurts. What in heaven's name, my friend, is going on?
1 second now. Something to do with the start of something. Something to do with the start of something and the completion of something else. Because you got 2 aces and you got the world card, which is about completion. Something to do with something starting and something completing. So there's something in your life, something new that's starting, while something else has come to a completion. And maybe it's just like you finished with something and it's just like a clear out. I think it's like a clear out maybe that could be happening to you.
Could it be end of karma, a paying off of karma or something?
Well, it could be, because the world card is all about the it's more or less the last card of the major arcana. So it could be about, it could be very easily about the finish of it's basically the finish of one cycle of something in your life. So something is finishing and something is starting, something new and fresh. The 2 aces you got was the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. So it's something that's going to be, something you will have enthusiasm for. And also, the Ace of Pentacles, most people often see it as maybe a money card, but I think it's more of a practical card. It's like something practical. Something more that's practical and that's grounded, but something that will sprout. Because I got the Ace of Pentacles first, which is about grounding and practicality with the earth signs, and then you got the Ace of Wands, which is something sprouting from the ground. So something is finishing in your life and something is starting. That's why you, and as I said, what I got in my head was, what I got as a vision, let's just say to myself, was like someone sweeping out a room, knocking away of rubbish and other stuff and sweeping out. So that can happen when you're it's like a little bit like if someone has been drinking and they get a pain in their head the next day and all that. That's basically a clean up of the situation.
All right, like a detox.
Yeah, like a detox.
Detox headache. Okay.
if that makes any sense to you.
It does. Thank you very much, Brian. That's very good. Very good.
When I was listening to Brian, my guide was saying yes to all of what he's saying. In addition, we have three major eclipses this month, and every time eclipse comes, and apparently two of the three are once a major, things will be eclipsed out of your life. So I asked my guide, what is this about? And my guide kept saying, end of an emotional struggle. And then I picked up the card, and it's actually very interesting because the card says, do you have trouble receiving?
Are you receiving me, Mother? Right. Well, thank you very much for those insults. Did I say insults? No, I meant insights.
So it's about
it's about hearing.
Control everything and let life give to you for once.
Okay. All right. I maybe sit back with
say one more thing.
Go ahead.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
I picked out another card, and it's just the next card. It was the Eight of Cups, which is about walking away from something that has kind of reached its completion, kind of thing, or reached. It's like you're finished with that and you're walking away.
Okay. I get you. I mean, this is a particular time for this as well. I mean, like you say with the eclipses. This one we've just had, it's a full moon, and when you go from full moon to new moon, that is the time you let go of things. If you want your hair or nails to grow shorter, you cut your nails at this time. You want your plants you want to slow your lawn growth down, you mow your lawn at this time of month. So, it's a good time. Yeah, I can feel the cycle of it. It doesn't make you feel any nicer, but I've just had an aspirin, so I should be feeling good in a minute.
Does the message about receiving, does that make sense to you though?
I'm gonna have to ponder on that. Okay. Where I'm refusing the help or whatever. So, now people are calling in. Go ahead.
It's long standing for you, generations and generations of sacrifice.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yes. Well, there you go. So,
the world card is normally always a happy completion. You know, right. It's like something is completed and it's completed in the proper way.
Oh, that's really good. So, so here's the thing. I'm for some reason, I'm picking up the calls and they immediately stop. So I'm just going to try and catch one as it comes and bring it straight into the call. Okay. Hopefully. And it just kind of flashes up on the screen and there it goes. Unless I call them back. Have I got enough? Oh, I got a few dollars there. See? Did you hear that? It just went boop and it stopped.
Huh.
Yeah.
Typical. Bloody typical. Right, Echo. Okay. So look, can I ask some questions that are coming in from the chat room? There's a whole bunch there.
I was just gonna suggest that. Yes.
Have you got a key into the chat room, Joanna?
I think so, except when I go on, it makes that funny noise.
Oh, you've got to click the little speaker icon in the bottom right-hand corner and
can you send me the link and I'll just connect to it?
wolfspiritradiochat.chatango.com or wolfspiritradio.com/listen. But you got to click off the player. Let me just get you the chat room there. Things are taking me a little while longer today because I'm using a different form of Skype here, which doesn't do the same things as the other one. There you go. There's the link in your PM there.
Okay, got it. So those of you who are listening and the calls are dropping, go into the chat line, which is where you have the link. It's on the newsletter I sent and also under the video that I posted yesterday. And if we can't hear you over the phone, post it on the chat line and hopefully we'll get to it. So let me just get here.
All right. Well, shall I read the first one that came up here? I think is, I'm just going to start here randomly. From Huda Decatur, GA. Will I meet my twin flame or life partner in this life or any time soon? Is that enough information for you? Because I've asked them to put their name and their location and their question. Do you need any more information, like their age or anything?
No.
I'm trying to listen because Brian, did you get that? Because the voice is overlapping on my end.
Yeah, I can hear everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I put up front cards for that question if you'd like me to read them out.
Perfect.
The first card I got was the Six of Pentacles, followed by the Knight of Cups. So, it's something to do with a balancing out, of something before this happens. Because Knight of Cups is very much, someone, coming in to offer. And also the Six of Pentacles is like somebody giving to someone who doesn't have. But it's about balancing things out. It also could be talking about six of some kind of, so it could be a 6th month or something like that, or the 6th, it could be like the 6th month, maybe it could be talking about even June next year kind of time even. But I feel it's about something to do with balancing things out in that person's life a little bit. Some kind of balancing out of some kind has to happen. And then, there is somebody who is likely to make an offer, or someone will come in. Something like that, because the Six of Pentacles is like a kind of, it's a card basically shows, for those who don't know it, it's a card that shows somebody who has, let's just say, who has money or whichever else, or items or something to give, and the person is giving to those who don't have. So, I think it's also as a message, I think it could be talking about, for that person, don't beg, or don't be too easy. Because sometimes if you are looking for romance and love and you feel lonely, if that person does feel this way, what can happen is that by being too easy with people and allowing, let's just say allowing people to maybe, give you crumbs when they should give you more, is when that, I think maybe talking about that, maybe balancing out that, will bring in someone who's more, it's like, I think it's like gaining self-esteem, not allowing yourself to be on your knees and just accepting what you can get. I think it's more about standing up in a kind of in a self-esteem way. And then when this person does more of this, then they will give off a confidence that will attract someone in who's more on their wavelength. Because there could be a case where they've been maybe putting up with things being unbalanced in their life for too long. And I think maybe I'm being attracted to the person who's kneeling down, who has their hands up on the Six of Pentacles, looking to get something off someone who has something, while they have nothing. And I think it's kind of like someone can be stuck in a position where they allow themselves to feel, they allow themselves to be kind of taken advantage of up to a point, because they kind of feel so lonely. So that would be my advice for that person.
Okay. Very good, Brian. I had to deal with
Joanna.
my end here. There was a bit of a technical stuff I was going through.
Okay, so take a breath, Joanna.
I heard a lot of tapping.
Tippity-tappity. What's going on? Is there? Turn off the player. It's alright. Just turn off the player. Okay, so,
How are the calls coming? Are we still not able to hear people?
well, I got one call a minute ago, and then that stopped working, so, and then Patrick tried to bring him on, but that didn't work either. I can try and bring him in. This is one caller, so let's bring in Patrick and see what happens.
Okay.
And then we can read some other people maybe. There we go. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
Hello, Patrick.
Yes, turn off your player.
I did. Thank you.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Oh, what can we do for you? Bear with us. What can we do for you?
Well, my name is Patrick Anderson from North Dakota, and in so many ways I feel great. I guess what I'm working with is that so much anger, so much rage and frustration. It's like the more that I feel, the more that I know what's going on. And it's been for so long now. Like I get so much anger, and I work with it as best I can, but if you have any suggestions on working with that or just allow it to burn, because I love that I feel more, but yeah, any suggestions would be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what I picked up right off the bat, the moment I heard your voice, I heard the word dad. When you were talking about your anger, obviously you're someone who is sensitive, but I kept seeing my guide motioning suppression. So what this is telling me is that you have had to put up with suppressing your anger, could be connected to a father or a father figure for quite some time. And as you go through the progression of your soul, as you open up, as you energetically open up, all that gunk, all that muck is coming up to surface in order to be expressed. Now, one of the things that they're suggesting right off the bat is because you're going through a lot of changes, the worst thing any of us can do is to try to shove it aside, fix it, or somehow do something so that we can't or don't want to feel it. Now, we don't want to feel it because it's kind of crappy, but the trick, if I can call it that way, to letting it come out of you is actually to allow yourself to feel it without putting any meaning to it and without trying to fix it in any particular way. So part of the healing that's going on, and many of us are going through this, as we energetically shift, a lot of gunk will come up to surface years and years and years, and sometimes it's lifetimes of stuff that is suppressed. In order for it to come out, in order to clear a way for your new future or the way that you are going to be, going forward. So does the piece around your dad make any sense to you?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So what they're saying here is, number one, they're showing me you need to learn how to pay homage to yourself. And that's an interesting choice of words. Paying homage to yourself basically means you need to learn how to self-nurture. Okay? Whatever transpired when you were growing up, that was not something that you have learned all too well, and you have apparently relied on others to nurture you because you don't know how. So this is about allowing yourself to be nurtured and accepting yourself unconditionally, regardless of what you think, what is quote unquote wrong with you. Does that make any sense to you?
That does.
So it is all to do with acceptance of self. You are going through a massive transformation. They're showing me number 13, which is the tarot card death. Obviously, that's not a physical death, but it is a card of transformation, and you're being asked to be patient. This is a bit like a bumpy ride, and it's going to feel bumpy for a little while, but they're saying here, as you go through this bumpiness, if you will start to see things from a different perspective. So in other words, let this come out of you. If you can take up anything to help you with this, like boxing or, kicking the pillows, hopefully not humans, anything that you can do that does not suppress, because the suppression is the worst thing you could do right now. The reason why it's coming out, because it's been suppressed for so long. Okay? And the word forgiveness comes in. Whenever the word forgiveness comes in, I cringe because I always say to my guides, oh boy, they're going to roll their eyes. But as you know, if we don't let go, it hurts us more than the person who hurt us, because we're the ones that are experiencing the residue of that emotion. So allow yourself to feel it without pointing fingers, without feeling bad, without trying to fix it or make sense of it in any way. Literally just feel it for what it is and just let it go.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's a little bit like riding the wave or being on a boat in a choppy water. You can't get out because you don't want to get wet. You might as well just keep going, and eventually you'll just become accustomed to it until the waters become smoother. And water is a symbol of emotion. So I hope that was helpful. And you too are coming full circle. You are completing an aspect of your life that has been with you for quite some time, and the word abandonment comes to my mind. Does that make sense?
Spot on.
Okay. So I hope that was helpful. I wish you the best.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you very much for calling. Thanks very much for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, right. So well done now. All right. So I've got some calls coming through. Yes, here's one. Let's see. Let's bring the mouse all over here. Click the answer thing. I've got to add the extension. How very useful for telling me now. Let's see. Hello, Skype caller, you there? No, I gotta wait for get that. Let's install the plugin, shall we? Keep talking, guys.
Okay, so why don't we take a call, or why don't we take a question from a chat?
Yeah,
okay,
take a chat question, please, Joe.
Hi, I'm Shawnee from DC, and my question is, am I on the right path to purchase my current home? Brian, do you want to take that?
Well, as you were reading it out, the Nine of Pentacles fell out.
Okay.
So, and the Nine of Pentacles is somebody who has made their lot in life and has, basically it shows a lady who is standing in a garden, and she seems to be very well dressed and has basically what she wants. So, and at the bottom of the deck, when that card fell out, and I just turned over the bottom of the deck, and the Ace of Pentacles was there. So I would say that this questionnaire really is on the right path to getting what it is that they are looking for as far as a home goes.
Very good. As I was hearing myself speak the question, I kept seeing Ace of Swords. So Ace is a new beginning. It's also clarity. It's a brand new beginning. It's a very sharp energy. I feel there is a distinct clarity with this, and a distinct what's the word I'm trying to use, please? Direction that's not wavering here or there. So if I was to interpret this in the way that's being shown to me together with Brian's card, the answer would be yes. So I hope that was helpful. Good job. Okay. How are we doing with calls?
Well, it seems that Skype is now only available to users of Windows 7 and not XP, which is what I've been using. So I'm completely scuppered. I go to add extension. I add the extension. I get the plugin. The plugin loads. It then fails. So that's that. And that's only happened today. So
okay, so let you work on this, and I'm just going to go through
I'll keep working on it, and I'll let you know if I get anybody. But
okay, there's another question here. Name is Chantel. I'm just kind of picking randomly. I'm not looking. Hi there. The question is for Joanna or Brian. What do I have to do to prepare for my next career opportunity? Love the way you phrase that question. Brian, do you want to start, and I'll see what I can get? So the question is, what do I have to do to prepare myself for the next career opportunity?
The first card that I had there was the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles to me would be somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's like making sure you know what it is you're walking into, making sure you know what it is that you're not just. I think it's like knowing what it is, what business or whatever it is that this lady is getting involved in, to know what it is that she's getting involved in, and know what she's talking about when it comes to that. To not try and wing it is what, because the next card I got was Judgment. And although Judgment is about making sound judgment and, let's just say a bit of help from above as well, there's also wings. And when I say wing it, I immediately was drawn to the wings on the angel on that card. So I would say make sure that you know what it is you're walking into, and you know what it is that you're talking about concerning this. As well as that, I got along with Judgment, I got the Four Cups. So I would say to be aware of not missing any opportunities, that you might see, that she might see as being maybe not so obvious an opportunity, or something that she might feel like not doing. Don't miss opportunities because you don't feel like not doing, or you feel that an offer or something connected to what she's asking about it is not worth it or whatever, because there is an opportunity there, and I feel it's a hidden gem.
Very good, because I hear you talking, my gut keeps saying the word study. So what you said, being prepared, study, that falls in the same line. So what this could also signify is that you might have to take up some courses, or maybe you have had an inkling of wanting to take some courses, or maybe there's something that you are interested in and you're being guided by your spirit or by your intuition to take up some courses. These could be traditional courses. This could be another way of studying as a self-study or knowledge knowledge that comes to you in one, through some different ways. And this could be reading books. The other card I got for you, or the card that I got for you, was breathe. And that basically says to me the word anxiety. So what this card says is relax. Really breathe into experience. So if you are someone who's trying to manifest your opportunity or manifest your career, imagine being in whatever that is for you. And the most important thing you want to connect to is the feeling. Because every single human being, what we are after is a feeling. A certain physical component brings a certain feeling. We're always after a certain feeling. So always make sure that you know what it is that you're chasing as far as the feeling. And once you know the feeling, you can figure out what kind of opportunities will give you this corresponding feeling. But study was the very first thing that I was asked to say. Okay. I'm also seeing writing. So this could be you are either into writing, there's a component of writing in your work, or you need to write, not necessarily wish list, but, what's the word I'm looking for, please? Intention as to what it is that you want to create. But writing is being shown to me, very clearly here. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, let me just see. Oh God, people are getting disconnected. Sorry guys, it's one of those things that we're trying to work really, really hard on. If you want to get on the
I'm
chat
afraid
line,
Skype has just let us down completely.
Yeah. If you can get on the chat line, we'll do our best to answer your question. Okay, next question we have. Okay, so Kira, Tallahassee, is my home safe? Okay, so that's an interesting question, because otherwise, if it was safe, you wouldn't be asking the question, I think. The first thing I saw in my mind was Nine of Swords. So when I see this card in my mind, it signifies to me that there is an overwhelming feeling of an anxiety, even borderline on depression. So, to answer the question, is my home safe? I am being more shown you, Kira, the person, or if that's the right name of the way to pronounce your name. There is something going on within you. So now it could be, but because of the home, you are overwhelmed, but they're connecting something with you. There's some kind of resolution you need to seek within yourself. So it's not really answering your question, but I hope that this can make sense to you. Brian, do you have anything on that?
Yes, Joanna. I got the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck.
Wow.
As you were saying it. So the other cards I got was the Ace of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Wands. Now, if I was to put the Ace of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles together, it would become the Four of Pentacles, which is often seen as a card of stability. Let's say financially. And the Four of Wands would normally signify a great stability in as far as a home goes, or that kind of thing. I feel that there's something needed. I think that maybe this lady might be waiting on something or needing something extra, or she might be stressed about needing something extra.
Financially,
the Ace of Pentacles. Yes, the Ace of Pentacles to become part of the Three of Pentacles, which makes the Four. So she's hoping for, I feel like she's worried that she's not going to get that. But come to her. That's what so I think, as you said, it's probably more her own worry is the biggest unstable part there.
Right, and I'm trying to ask my guide, is the worry creating that an anxiety? Well, obviously, or I'm trying to answer, is her home safe, or is, and I'm,
it is a difficult question.
It's a difficult question because I feel, and this is going to sound, it's going to sound how it's going to sound, but I feel that your anxiety is creating your environment which feeds you back the fear. Like, they're showing me that your first and second chakra need a lot of healing. First chakra is all about stability and security, which almost always externalizes itself in issues around finances or not being able to hold on to our attractive finances. So what I would say here is, take a look at your belief system, take a look at where you are emotionally speaking as an individual, because I feel, and I hate to say that, but I feel like you are creating this. And that's why they're not saying yes or no, because it's dependent on her. Right? Brian?
One thing I did notice about the cards, Joanna, just to add into that, what you've said, is that there's three people on one card, and that's the card missing. On the Three of Pentacles, there's three people, and it's missing that last pentacle to get to the four, which is stability. And on the Four of Wands, there's two people. So there could be a third person that could be maybe creating some of this, or helping along some of this anxiety. It could be a case of getting somebody out of her life, and that will allow her to maybe gain stability better. It could be down to that as well. I could be a little bit wrong there. That's just I just noticed that on the cards there. But what you're saying to me is like, if you don't feel stable within yourself, nothing will feel stable. You could be in a room made of gold with locks all the doors, and you won't feel stable because you don't feel stable inside. So I think it's more about being. Yeah, sorry, John.
Yeah, no, don't apologize. And that's why we talked at the very beginning that we all create our reality, whether we know it consciously or not. That's what we do. And until we become aware of what basis we create on, if our base is fear, because that's what we learned as young, we will continue run into situations where that will be perpetuated over and over. So hopefully that was answered. It's not a yes or no question, but oftentimes they're not yes or no question. They're saying to you that you will be fine. They're not addressing the home, but they're saying you will be fine. So, okay. Let me just see. Okay, she just wrote, that is weird. My neighborhood has had few break-ins. All my bills are paid. So I'm not... I'm going to move on to the next question. Okay. Another question is, what does my father have to say to me about my current love situation? This message is from Alexandra. Okay. So I'm assuming your father, Alexandra, has passed. I'm going to ask my guide how to handle this, unless you, Brian, has something that comes to mind.
I'll leave you answer that first.
Okay. The very first thing that comes to me, Alexandra, is this. Be careful what you ask for. Now, I don't want to interpret this. That could be interpreted in many different ways. I also how do I say this? My guide is pointing to the stability of this relationship, or the foundation or the groundwork. So what I want to say is this. Make sure that your groundwork on when this relationship is solid. I'm not saying it's not, but that they're pointing me to the foundation of that relationship. And unless there was something to point at, there wouldn't be pointing me. So maybe it's something you're overlooking. Maybe it's something you're not asking questions about. Maybe it's something you're not willing to look at. Not saying it's wrong, but that's what they're pointing me at. So that's what I'm addressing. Anything from your end?
Yes, the first card I got was the Six of Cups, followed by the Magician, and then the King of Cups, and at the bottom of the deck there was the Queen of Cups. So to me, I look at that as this, that maybe she is seeing it as a soulmate type, or twin flame type relationship type thing, or maybe she might be wanting to see it as that. But it could also be that, maybe it could be that I asked for a voice for her, and it could be that it could be reminding her of something from the past. But with the Magician, it's like she's creating, with the Magician, it's like, to look, I think it's kind of like look into the past as to how to create a good future, because the King and the Queen of Cups are a perfect match because they're the King and Queen of the same suit. So they're a perfect match. So I think it's like saying to look at the past, and with the Six of Cups and the Magician being a creation card, a card of creation, and what you're wishing for. and to get the perfect relationship, let's say, or the best match, to get the best match. So it's not saying that her match with her partner is wrong or right. It's just saying that it is something from the past that's influencing it. And that if she looks at that, she'll have a better, that will give her maybe a yes or no on it after she's
right. Which is interesting because I took a completely different deck and the card of conflict and despair came up. So the only thing that I can see here is that you're coming from a place of fear in your past, and you want to make sure that you are not overlooking some things in order to, to get something that you want, but something that may seemingly be very good on the outside, but you're not looking under the hood, so to speak, because you don't want to lose the illusion. Now, I'm not saying this is not the right person. We're not saying that at all. But both of us are kind of touching on the same thing, just to make sure that you look into your past. And maybe noticed, the other thing they're showing me is, make sure you're not repeating a pattern. Because if you find yourself in a relationship that seems eerily similar, just with a different face, you might be repeating a pattern. Now, it doesn't mean you can't be with this person, but it does mean it comes with a learning opportunity so you don't repeat the same patterns. I think that's how I want to answer that. Okay, let's move on to a next question. Question is from Jax. Can you see any blocks around or in me? Any special message or guidance? Okay, I wish I knew the first name because the person goes by JJ Jax. Okay, right off the bat, they're showing me in my mind 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords is isolation, self-imprisonment, restrictions. So that's not a card that I'm seeing. That's what they're putting in my mind. So the question regarding your blocks, notice if there are any self-restricted behaviors, thoughts, or patterns that you are exhibiting, and see if they're influencing you in a negative way, because that's what they showed me right off the bat. Brian?
What I got first was the 8 of Wands, because I was asking for it as advice for how to get to, let's say, on the blocks that this person has. I got the 8 of Wands, the Queen of Cups, and the 2 of Wands. So I think it's to do with breaking free. Like you said, you got the 8 of Swords, because I think it's to do with breaking free, because the card that came after that was the Tower and the 9 of Wands. I think the block is maybe being defensive, maybe too much being defensive, and not communicating out into the world with people enough, and I think travel has something to do with it too, that maybe this person needs to travel. It doesn't have to be very far, but needs to travel, needs to get out of their environment that they're in at the moment. That whatever environment they're in at the moment, even if it's just a job back home type environment, doesn't have to be a dangerous environment or anything like that. That to me, I feel that they should go by with their intuition with the Queen of Cups. They should listen to their intuition as to where to go. It doesn't have to cost much money, just where to go, just to help, to release. Because I feel like as you said, when the first word that came to me with the 8 of Wands was the word release. And you
that's what I'm getting to.
8 of Swords.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I'm getting to. So, Jax, I hope that made sense to you. Now, phones are still not working, so if you can guys get on there. Okay, next question. Let me just see. Gloria Lynn, Brooklyn, New York. Question is, will I become a dancer? It's my dream, and I have been taking steps towards this. Will the work pay off? So, okay. So, question is, will I become a dancer, and will the work pay off? Okay, so right away what I'm hearing is this. Yes to the dancer, and as far as will it pay off, my guide says it depends what form of pay you are after. So, interesting choice of words, because one can get a payoff in the way they feel, but it may not necessarily be a physical compensation as in money. So it's interesting because I've never had my guys say this to me before, but that is actually a real distinction. And some people do things because they love it, but that doesn't necessarily pay their bills. I'm going to go out on a limb and probably say that you're looking to be a dancer to make money for a living. And let me just see what we can get with this. Right away they said it's a hard job. So, you've been working towards it, so I'm assuming you already know it. They're saying yes, but I feel like there's a long stretch of it before it starts to pay off dividends. That is what I'm seeing. So if you are persistent and if you are able to keep going until you see it paying dividends, the most likelihood of this working out in your favor is great. But I do not necessarily feel it's going to happen overnight. And that's a figure of speech. What do you get, Brian?
The cards I got, Joanna, for this lady is Page of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Seven of Wands, and the Queen of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So how I interpret it is, the Page of Swords immediately on the Rider-Waite deck, immediately to me looks like someone who's dancing. So it's more speaking about the person. The Four Swords, to me, the first thing I thought of is that for them to have success in what they do, to make sure to rest their body, to make sure to get the rest they need to get, and don't cut corners on that. With the Seven of Wands, it's saying to me that they should fight back the opposition. And to be courageous and to be courageous in competing if they have to do that kind of thing in some way, and that will gain them confidence with the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands to me often speaks about confidence, them gaining confidence through being willing to beat off the competition. And with the Three of Pentacles, it's like money will come when, I think it's like the money side of things will come when this person has shown that they have a skill above the rest, as
right.
The Seven of Wands shows.
Right.
So that would be my interpretation of it and advice.
Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, let's see. Trying to see all these. Okay. I'm listening. Okay. Okay. Message from Isabel. I started channeling for the first time and was unable to do it again. Any recommendations to get back on track to channel my guides? Thank you, from Quebec, Canada. Welcome, Isabel. The very first thing I got from you is you need to do some grounding work. They're showing me, it's interesting because they're showing me an instrument and you are climbing on the instrument, which tells me that you are making progress as far as energy, work. So you're able to do this, but they're saying here, get down to basics. It's almost like you got a taste of it, but you have to come back to basics, and it has to do with grounding. Now, when one is not grounded and one channels energy, there are several things. One can become mentally all over the place. And also, if one is not grounded, one can attract a whole bunch of different, guests that are not necessarily on the same level as you. So for whatever reason, he's showing me grounding as being one of the first things to get back to. Brian, do you get anything?
The cards I called out for this question was there was a lot of cards of kind of being protection and that kind of thing, and focusing on the right thing. I think trying to channel into the spirit world is a tricky business, and if you're not tuned in, or you haven't protected yourself enough, you don't know who's speaking with you. So be very careful of that, because you could end up in a battle that you will, if you're not focusing in the right direction and doing the right thing, you can end up in a bit of a battle which you'll regret afterwards, because you might be dealing with someone out there, or some being out there who is not let's just say, who doesn't have good intentions.
Right.
So what I would say is to focus on the right things to do this, and don't take it lightly, and to definitely protect yourself. That's very important.
Would you say grounding would have a lot to do with that?
Oh yeah, yes. Sorry. While you are speaking, I'm actually putting out the cards, so I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm only getting some bits of it. But yes, grounding, because I got the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom, so grounding definitely. And when I talked about focusing on the right things, the Queen of Pentacles to me often talks about focusing on the proper stuff. So yeah, definitely grounding, because when you're grounded, you are at a good starting place. If that makes sense.
It does. And interesting, as you're talking, my guide has asked me to take a different deck, and a card came up, and the card is all about taking steps to really build up the energy around the heart. So green represents, the heart energy. It's really focusing on peace, inner that's relaxation, experiencing soothing, relaxed way of being, which is interesting because when we are not grounded, we will feel scattered. When we are scattered, we're generally anxious, and that is not conducive to feeling peace. When we're not feeling peaceful, we will have a tendency to attract other guests that are not peaceful. So it's interesting that they talked about healing heart chakra and focusing on a lot of peace, which is also a requirement. Grounding is requirement to feeling peaceful. So whichever way they talk to me, whether it's my ear or through the cards, it's about grounding and getting back to basics is what they said at the very beginning. So Isabel, I hope that helps. Yeah, please do. Sorry,
can I say one more thing on this, Joanna?
Yes, of course.
What I'm getting from the cards is that the past, something from the past involving some kind of arguments or something like that could be getting in the way. That could be something to do with the heart chakra or something like that. But something to do with that, it could be getting in the way. Is too much focus on that maybe in a person's life or something like that. Something that was a regret or something like that could be getting in the way of it happening proper. And being grounded is one of the best things you can do when you have stuff like that, to get grounded, because it gets you into the present moment. So
right. Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful to you. So I just put a note to introduce her. Yeah.
As you just said, can we do an extra 15 minutes? I've just cut into the master stream, so we're overriding the scheduled playing. So you can go as long as you like, and then I'll just release it and it'll get going. So I've tried upgrading my Skype on Linux, and I don't think it's still working. So.
Okay, guys, so just, we're trying to do the best here. Brian, are you okay with going extra 15 minutes?
Yeah, no bothers at all, Joanna. I'm quite happy to do it.
So, stick around, guys. Keep sending us your question, because we will, go for we've got another 17 minutes, added to our program. So let's go on with, more questions. Okay. Question from Hannah, Florida. Am I going to be a successful doctor? And the next question you have is being a doctor the right job for me? Okay, so I'm going to answer the second question first. If you have to ask that question, I'm a little bit concerned. Because if you are asking if that's the right job for you, it tells me that you're either not connected to it, or you're getting some signs, but you're not listening to your inner voice, and you're looking for someone outside of you to give you confirmation. Having said that, I keep hearing the word yes. So what this shows me is that you are still in a process of searching. That does not mean that you can't be a doctor, but either there's something going on in your life right now that's causing you inner conflict or questioning yourself, which can happen. So if you are already in the studies, or if you are already a doctor, go back and ask yourself the question, what got you into that place to begin with? What was the feeling that you had in order to choose this particular profession. And I don't, am I going to be a successful doctor? So I'm assuming you're either in studies or you are thinking of going into studies. If you are not in studies yet, ask yourself, what is it about being a doctor that connects with your heart and soul? You will have the answer. What do you think, Ryan? Brian?
The cards, from looking at the cards here, the first card I got was the Temperance card, which to me would very much be a medical card a lot of the time. And I pulled out a few cards before that and a few cards after that. And there was a lot of Pentacles. Now, it could be that the reason that this person got involved in the medical world was financial. And I did get the Ace of Pentacles after the Temperance, which is about finances. That's how it feels like to me at this present time. And then I got the Nine of Swords and then the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands to me is more talking about whether this person will be a successful doctor or not. That would say definitely that this person would be a successful doctor. But I think what you were saying earlier, Joanna, about what was the intention behind going down this road for this person. With the Nine of Swords, I feel like that there is that inner conflict going on. That maybe it was originally, maybe it was for financial reasons, and maybe the person there was not sure whether or not they made the right decision, because can they do this every day? Have they got the interest to do it? But I think it's more, at the bottom of the deck I have the Three of Wands. So I think it's more waiting to see results. I think is more what it's about, and that will help the situation. Because the Three of Swords is the Three of Wands is waiting for your chips to come in. So that would be what my advice on it would be.
So it sounds like she is, I think it's a she. Forgive me if it's a he, but I think it's a she. It sounds like there's a bit of inner conflict going on at this time.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's actually essential to reevaluate where we're at any given moment. It is rare for most humans, to start off with one profession and be satisfied and content for the rest of their lives with one profession. Generally, a person will change 3 to 7 professions in any given lifetime, or in a lifetime. So, if you are questioning, just go back to the basics. What made you go into it in the first place? Ask yourself if those components are still there for you, and if they're not, how do you now connect to the possibility of being a doctor? But I clearly heard yes, and Brian said yes, so hope that was helpful. Okay, let's see. So, message from Janine 444. Will I win my upcoming court case? Okay. Let me see. Okay, so the first thing I'm being shown in my mind is the card of a devil. Whenever I see the card of a devil, it tells me that the person I'm speaking with is bound by self-limiting beliefs, and also may have tendencies towards greed and preoccupation with materialism. I'm not saying that's you, but what I'm also feeling is there's a lot of anger and contempt in what I'm feeling. Now, most cases when it comes to law, there's probably not happy, lovey-dovey feelings. I get that. But the only thing that I want to say with this is, be careful that you're not trying to make someone pay for what they've done to you, because the intent of that can come back to you. That's all I've got to say on that. So they're not saying yes or no. They're actually going deeper into the intent or the intention behind this. And I see a lot of fire. Fire is passion. Fire is, I'm assuming, court case, law case. You've got something?
Oh no, I have my cards are basically saying something similar, Joanna.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I got the Six of Cups, which is about something obviously from the past, followed by the Seven of Swords, which is some kind of underhanded dealing, followed by the Nine of Swords, which is anxiety and stress, followed by the High Priestess, which is about I think it's about saying to the person, there's no yes or no here, it's like more saying to the person to use their intuition to deal with a battle, because the Five of Wands is next. Otherwise, there could be heartbreak at the end. Is it worth pursuing to the degree you're going to pursue it? Will it hurt you more to keep pursuing it? Or will it be more satisfying? I feel it could be a case where it might hurt the person more to keep pursuing it, to really ask themselves and their intuition that question. Are they just trying to make someone pay, as you said, or is it worth the effort that is going to go into it for this battle? Because I got the Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck, and to me that says that even if the person wins, everyone loses in some way.
Yeah, and they're clearly talking to me about the intention, and I'm being in my ear. My guide is whispering Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is emotionally letting go of something that is no longer serving you. So, it's not a yes or no, but the yes or no wouldn't, although it could be a short-term answer, they're asking you to look at the bigger picture, because like Brian said, fighting for something in order to make someone pay, the intention behind that can come back to, bite you in the ass, if you know what I mean. So obviously we don't know what the context is, but that is what they're asking you to focus on. Because you may win the case, but if your intent is to make someone pay, it comes from a place of anger and resentment. And that never works out in the long run. You may get your money, but you might get a headache afterwards. Yeah. So I hope that was very helpful. Let's see. So we've got another 10 minutes or so. Okay. So somebody's asking if this will be in a public archives. Yes, it will be. Actually, I will be posting it on my YouTube channel. It'll be there indefinitely, probably in the next day or two. Another question is, okay, one second. So message is from Amy. Amy 222. How do you know if who you are connecting with is an angelic spirit or ancestor or both? So actually that's a great question. I'm trying to see how I can answer this, because it took me years to decipher. Tip for me, and everybody will have a different answer. For me, when a loved one comes through, I will be told what the connection is as far as a bloodline, relative, or a friend. When an angel comes through, it's a very different feeling. I feel like I'm literally plugged into, 500 watt, energy plug, and I feel like my body is buzzing, and I'm literally overwhelmed with the feeling of love. And 9 times out of 10, I will be told what angel comes to me or what angel comes to speak with me. I've had Archangel Michael channel a message to me, and he literally scared the crap out of me, because I thought he was going to be this nicey, guy, and his energy was so strong and so almost overwhelming, and I actually felt a little bit scolded. And he wasn't scolding me, but just the way he was talking to me, I kind of went, oh boy, that is not what I expected. So anyway, that is how I can answer this, and everybody will have a different experience. But for me particularly, it takes a lot of practice and years of trust, meditation, and being able to tune into my gift and hone that knowing. How is it for you, Brian?
I actually would answer this more with more from myself than using the cards, because of the type of question it is.
Right.
And something that was said to me by a man who was like yourself, Joanna, a man I know, I'm friends with, here in Ireland. He said to me, that if you know yourself, you should know yourself by the feeling, whether if it's something good, somebody good, you should be able to feel that. If you're not, what I mean is that if you're using your hopes, you could hope that somebody, that whoever it is you're connecting to is that person. But if you go by your feeling, go by your intuition, by your feeling, by your gut feeling will tell you whether or not this is good or this is bad. Regardless of who someone is saying they are, you'll know yourself. And as far as an angelic being goes, I think it'd be very rare that any kind of an angelic being would connect up with most people, because, as you said, energy is so strong, we just wouldn't be able for it. And I don't take this in the wrong way to the person with the question. Please don't take this in the wrong way. It's that often the time they are very busy beings, and there would have to be a very good reason, or a good reason for them to connect. If you understand what I mean. Am I stressing that correctly?
Yeah.
It's like,
Go ahead.
It's like trying to talk to the manager of a shop. You're going to have to request to see the manager. You're going to get to see someone else in a shop first, like, or in a business. If you want to talk to somebody who's higher up, you're going to have to request and go through channels to get to see that person, or there has to be a good reason for that person to come to see you. If you walk into a shop or into any situation where there's a rank, and in a spirit world there is rank, then you're not going to be connecting up with a CEO of a big business,
Right.
If that's a good analogy.
Right. With me, and what my guide is asking to say is that angels can connect with anybody. So there's no, one is less important or that doesn't exist. But in my experience, whenever I've had an angelic presence, it is almost always to give me a very brief message. It is an extremely high level message or channeled information that I'm supposed to put out to the public. So for me, when they come through, it is never with my personal stuff. It is always with information that is meant to be literally broadcasted to. So I don't know if that helps you or not, but when an angel comes through and when a loved one comes through, like there is no comparison. None.
Can I just say one other thing?
Yes, of course.
I just want to, I didn't mean to, I don't know if I sounded like this or not, but I didn't mean
No, you're good. You're good.
They wouldn't come across to anyone. They can come across to anybody, but it's just that they have to have a good reason. If that's
exactly.
basically it.
Yeah, and I took it that way, and I took it that way. No worries. Okay. Question from Joan Alahan Parker. Is my life going to improve? I'm so exhausted of no money, no love. I'm always trying to be a good person. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say first and foremost. The word trying is what got to me. Okay? Because if you are trying to be a good person, it says that you do not believe that you are. And if you subconsciously and deep inside you do not believe that you are a good person, it is almost always tied with feeling low about yourself, your self-worth and self-esteem. When that is part of your being, even on a conscious or subconscious level, you will struggle because you will constantly perceive yourself as less than, and you will create based on that equation. So I don't know if that answers your question, but basically what they're saying is they're turning back to you and they're saying, look within and ask yourself some pretty important questions. Who am I? What am I worth? And what do I believe about myself? And then go from there. And I'm seeing 8 of Swords again, which is letting go emotionally of things that no longer serve you. Emotionally detach yourself from the past.
I got that as well. 8 of Swords.
I'm also being shown you being minimized at some point in your life, typically when you're growing up, and I'm hearing the word mother or mother figure. So if you have felt diminished, less than, told you're not good enough, whatever that is, it would be why you are trying to be a good person. You don't have to try to be a good person. Underneath everything that you are a good person. So you need to start looking at yourself from a different light. Any more on that, Brian?
Yes, Joanna, I got the 8 of Swords. It was the first card that came out. And then followed by the Sun card, the Magician, the 7 of Cups, and at the bottom of the deck, the Empress. The 8 of Swords basically is, I think it's like next to the Sun card, is that this person needs to break out of negative thinking about themselves and become a bit more free. On the Sun card, you have a young child who's not wearing much of anything, and they're on the back of a horse, and they're in a garden, and they're totally happy. And it's like, it's more of a case of becoming more free. I think it's for that person becoming more free inside their heart and inside their mind, and not being so worried about about trying to be good or trying to do this or it's more about breaking free from constraints that are mostly they might have been even made by other people, but it's this person is keeping them in place. To break free from that. Oh, sorry, you're going to say something, Joanna?
No, that's good.
With the break free from that, it's like because the sun card to me is like once this person finds victory over that kind of restricting place they feel within themselves, then they'll be able with the magician to create more options and more dreamlike options with the Seven of Cups. More dreamlike stuff, things that are worth fantasizing about and more. It's like kind of like creating your dreams kind of thing, like the magician is having. And I got the Empress card at the bottom of the deck. As you spoke about the person's mother, and that is the mother of the deck. So
and the lady Joan came back and said, I mean to say that I am confident, and I'm confident about that. So here's what I'm going to say. I can guarantee you with a 99.9999999% of our certainty, based on what my guides are telling me, and I trust them with my life, that you have some deeply rooted subconscious beliefs that you still carry within you that tell you you're not good enough. It's not logical. It's not necessarily even conscious. That's why they're saying you need to go back and ask yourself some pretty deep questions. And this is not pointing fingers. We all do it. Every single one of us does it. Yes, that's why self-awareness is so important. So one way he's asking you to do this is look at your life and look at what you are attracting. If you are constantly struggling with what is being given to you, you have to ask yourself this question. What is it in me that believes I deserve what I'm receiving? Because you create
I agree with that.
Based on what you believe. And I've worked with hypnotherapy for 15 years, and I know this like a dance and song, and I know it on myself, and I've known it with clients. So most of it is not a conscious belief. It has nothing to do with logic. It's something that we've adopted, and they are showing me that at some point in your life you did feel minimized. So just see how that connects with you, and that will hopefully help you to do that. They're also saying one last thing, open your heart. When they tell me this, it almost always signifies that on some level you are very guarded. If you are guarded, you will attract experiences that will prove to you why you should be guarded. And typically we're guarded is because we don't trust. Okay?
Can I say anything on it?
Yes, please do, please.
Just before you finish, is that just to the lady that you wouldn't, that Joanna wouldn't have had the Eight of Swords come to mind, and then me pick it out because we're in two completely different parts of the world, if it wasn't a message that was for you.
Right. Yeah. So I hope that makes sense to you. Yeah. Good luck. Are you up for one more question, Ryan?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. What do I have here? Diana from New York. My boyfriend of 8 years and I are really struggling for the first time. Please help. Do you see us getting through this? Okay. Okay, one I'm connecting to one of you. I don't know if this is you, Diana, or your boyfriend. Someone is not willing to work with their own inner struggles. Now, we in relationships bring stuff to the relationships, and our stuff creates our own stuff in relationships, and it just boils down to a whole bunch of chaos. Point is, one of you, I'm not being shown who this is, one of you is not willing to look at their inner conflict, because I see them with their back against you. So maybe this is your partner, and his face is down, and I feel like he's slightly resigned. So, I hope, it might be you. One of you their back is turned towards the other person, and there's some inner struggle going on. Counseling comes to mind. That would be fairly straightforward, comment. But do you have anything on that? And I'm also seeing Nine of Swords.
what I got first of all, I put out a few cards and I didn't feel they were making sense, and I didn't feel they were right, but then the same cards came back out a second time, so I'm going to have to read them. This first card I got was the Seven of Cups, which is often about wishful thinking and not knowing what is the right choice to make. It can be making the wrong choice or living in dreams kind of thing. Then the Two of Pentacles, which is about not dropping the ball, keeping things going, keeping things moving in, let's just say, it's like multitasking, like I suppose between the couple, multitasking and trying to keep things afloat kind of thing. Then I got the Six of Swords, which would talk about moving from rough times into smooth times. But then followed then is the Seven of Swords and the Seven of Wands. So it's like as if there's a conflict going on there where one person is trying to, it's like the two people are trying to go in two different directions. One person is kind of on the defense and one person is trying to go left out of the situation up to a point. I'm not saying they're trying to leave the relationship, but they're trying to avoid, it's as if they're one person trying to avoid something with the other person. Kind of a thing. So, that's what I think. It's like the Seven of Swords is moving away from the Seven of Wands. So it's like, I'm not saying they're trying to break up, or I can't say that. I'm just saying that they're both sevens, which is about movement. And one person's movement is working against the other person. So what you're saying about somebody, not dealing with their problems, that would be the Seven of Swords, someone trying to get away, or maybe it's the Seven of Wands where somebody is on the defensive a lot. But Seven of Swords normally talks about somebody trying to kind of sneak away or not deal with something, not get caught for something, or not so much get caught, but not to deal with something. So they definitely want to the two people are making movement, but they're trying to make movement in two different ways. And where will it lead to, I can't say, because the other cards came out were a bit diluted, so I don't want to, I don't want to go into that. Yeah.
They did say counseling, so we're going to leave it at that. I hope that was helpful. Yes. I want to take one more phone call, or one more text. Hi, fellow Taurus. I'm a doctor, surgeon, emergency medicine. I've had every type of spiritual auras, angels, spirits, energies. I've done the work, ego, karma, past lives, and everything I've worked for and love, my passion, has been taken away. So looks like my love and my passion has been taken away to the point that is cruel. Hoping others going through. So why does it feel like I've been swimming all my life against the current and every door slam on my face? And that comes from Healing Lovey. Okay.
Could you repeat, Joanna, some of that question again? I missed some of the start.
So the person is a doctor, surgeon, emergency medicine, had every kind of spiritual thing, auras, angels, spirits, visuals, auditory, tactile, etc. Love, ego work, loves, and everything I've worked for. I've done the work and everything I've worked for and love. My passion has been taken away to the point that it's cruel. Why does it feel like the door is slammed on my face? So it sounds to me like the person is very spiritual, very connected, had all experiences, but it seems like things have been taken away from this person and it feels like a door is slamming in their face over and over. So the question is, why does it feel like the door is slamming in my face?
Okay, thank you.
I keep hearing the word past. I have this funny feeling, and you did say that you dealt with karma. There is some karmic connection here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So what they're telling me, and this is one of those things that we don't know because it's connecting to a past life. Notice this didn't come up before in our previous callers. What they're saying to me is that in your past life there was abuse of power. Yes. And somehow that is affecting you. So it's interesting because now you are someone who helps people heal. So you are still in a position of authority, a very powerful position where you have people's lives in your hands, but looks like your personal life is taking a beating. So my God is connecting it to past life. Do you have anything on that, Brian? That's interesting. That's an interesting,
Yes, Joanna. I wasn't sure about one of the cards, what it was meaning there, but when you said past life and abuse of power, the devil card was there.
okay.
Next to the devil card then is the Five of Pentacles, which is about being injured and being sick, which is what this person deals with. And then the Nine of Pentacles and the Hermit, but I read that as the Hermit as in, more the Hermit coming towards the Nine of Pentacles. Now, for anyone who doesn't know the Tarot, the Hermit is searching, like this person is searching for answers. The Hermit is searching for that place where the Nine of Pentacles is, which is a place of kind of personal contentment and personal happiness and success kind of thing. And I think the devil card definitely talks about the past life thing. This person is definitely puts in an effort, and they know what they're talking about when it comes to medical stuff. They are definitely efficient in what they do, because the King of Pentacles is there with the Temperance card. But it is something has to come to a completion, because the World card came out. The World card came out and the Death card came out. As two of the cards that came out, and that will then. After the last card, we haven't going into all the cards that pulled out a lot of cards, but the last card came out was the Chariot card. So something has to come to a completion and an end, that the karma from the past life has to be, the lessons from the past life, if there was an abuse of power before, then them lessons from the past life have to be, got to the bottom of, not to the bottom of, but have to be completed. And then there will be a feeling of kind of movement. But the person is not getting to move, which is what the Chariot card is talking about. The person is not getting to move successfully as they want to do in life, because this karma is holding them back. So yes.
It's interesting. That's very interesting. I picked one of the different cards, and the card Innocence came to mind, or the card Innocence came. Innocence is all about pure love, no attachments. The simplest gestures of love and respect can prevail over any fears. And the message here basically is, remember to pray for freedom from fears, worries, and unhealthy decisions that might control your thoughts and harm your soul. Be accountable for your decisions and their results. Very interesting choice of words, considering we talked about abuse of power in the past. So, I'm just trying to ask, because this is an interesting message. I'm going to ask my guide how this person can turn this around. And what I hear is love for self. I also hear the word rejection. So here's what I'm going to say. It sounds to me like you have some unfinished business around rejection, which has impacted you negatively when it comes to you loving self unconditionally. Now, logically speaking, I know that's not making sense. This is going to be deeply rooted stuff. I am getting a mother figure. So this could be as quote unquote simple as feeling rejected or not feeling as good when you were growing up because you were maybe compared to others. Not because she meant anything by it, but because that is how you perceived it. Which is interesting, because if that is the case, then that will definitely contribute to you feeling loss of self-acceptance, because if you were compared to others, the acceptance would not be as great, because when we're compared to somebody, it's basically said, why can't she be like somebody else? So you might want to kind of tap into this. And I know you said you've done a lot of work, and I hear this a lot, and also with myself. This work is, the person says it makes sense. Perfect. This work takes a lifetime, because that's what you're working with. So it will be layers and layers and layers, and you will be shedding layers as life moves on. So kudos to you for doing all this work, and the more you move forward, the more you will shed. I do see the number 9 with this. I feel that you are coming towards a completion of this, because I'm also seeing the Fool shortly after. So looks like you're going to be letting go of some preconceived ideas about yourself that may not have been visible to you yet. and the person says thank you. I hope this makes sense. And it says that this makes sense. So you're very welcome. Listen, guys, we're at an hour and a half. I hope this was helpful to those of you who are listening and those of you who got your questions answered. Brian, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great.
Thank you,
I always,
thank you to you.
Yeah, I always love,
and to all the people listening.
of course,
it was very, very enjoyable.
Of course. Please do check out his website. What is it again, Brian? Because you can just say it better than I can.
Sol-gier Tarot on YouTube. Sol-gier Tarot.
Perfect. And you're going to be doing the August readings, right? I
will be doing the August readings. I'm a bit lazy about the monthly readings a little bit sometimes, but I have my reasons for that. But I always do them. So they will be out within this week.
And of course, you can always connect with Brian. He has his information down below under his videos in the contact more section or or information section. So if you would like a reading with him, by all means, please do so. As you can see, he's very diligent and he goes out of his way to explain everything very thoroughly and detailed. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. I don't remember what's in 2 weeks, but I have another wonderful guest. And Brian, I hope that I will see you on the show again.
Absolutely, Joanna. Absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me too. Okay, guys, take care and have a good night wherever you are. I will be posting this on my YouTube channel in about a day or two. Okay? Take care. Bye.
Yeah.